So, yes, you read the title right. Possibly DLC news. The reason why I'm actually doing this video for the first place that you should know is because there's this popular Little Nightmares YouTuber called It's Just George, who does different Little Nightmare stuff like streams of Little Nightmares, speedruns of it, and theories even. And he just made a theory about, or he just actually showed potential leaks for actual upcoming DLC. And I am just a curious guy, and I just want to talk about them and what could possibly be the actual DLC, what proof we had of it, and what proof there could actually be of it. Sorry, I'm bad at English. It's not my first language, okay? So let's just move right on to the first proof about there might actually be a DLC soon. As you can see here, at the end of there was actually this new enhanced edition actually came out for not that long ago, that I actually think got shown off at Gamescom, where they released enhanced edition for Little Nightmares. But as you can see here, instead of it says just Stasia Studio and Bandai Namco and Unreal Engine, it also says Supermassive Games. Now, if you do not know who Supermassive Game is, those are the creators of Little Hope, Man of Medan, those games there. They're actually the creators of the enhanced edition because Stasia Studios, which was the original creators, are full on done with it. Bandai Namco is just a publisher, so it's a bit surprising to see that they actually got another company to actually make an enhanced edition. That's just another thing that I want to talk about before we actually get to the actual proof about what we actually got for a DLC. So that's just the first news. Let's go over to the actual proof that we might get a DLC. Yes, there is proof that there is upcoming DLC. Now, what you see right here is a bad screenshot of what could possibly be a clue to there might be a DLC in the future, which was actually a long time ago. Maybe like a month or two now, maybe 3. Well, anyways, what you're seeing here is a question arc or just question schedules on papers on the computer that Bandai Namco or the Little Nightmares Twitter feed did, where you could just click on this link and then you could just answer these questions about the game, like what was your favorite moment, what was the creepiest moment of the game, what was your least moment of the game. Six's betrayal. Well, anyways, as you can see here, but one of the questions that struck every theorist's mind, even It's Just George, like I said, the popular Little Nightmares YouTuber, he made a video about it, and that's actually where I got the screenshot from. That's why it's a bit bad. But anyways, let me read it to you. It says, in a time of discuss your expectations for future Little Nightmares games, what do you want? That's basically what it says. Now let me read the questions up for you now. First answer is online. Yes, I was actually just as surprised as you were to hear that. Online Little Nightmares. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Maybe like a Dead by Daylight style, where one is the monster, the other is the kids. That could maybe be a cool game mode. Then there's also open environment. Like a more open environment, I'm totally cool with that. There are also new characters, definitely new characters. And also side quest, definitely. Now the last one is no linear progression. I don't know how to say the word, but if you don't know what I mean by it, it's basically the same thing you do in The Walking Dead. You choose to save one character, the other one dies. But if you choose to save the other character, then the other character dies. You get what I'm heading at? It's choose your own story kind of type. That could actually be a very cool idea for Little Nightmares. If you want to go this path, but you'll meet if you go this path, you'll meet the hunter. If you go this path, you'll meet the barber. It'll be something like that, maybe. It'll be a very cool idea, I guess. Next question is co-op. couch co-op. That would actually be a cool idea, but I don't really have any friends, so sad and lonely. But don't worry, I can deal with playing it alone. It will be okay with me. It will also be a funny speedrun idea to just control both characters. Then there also character creation system. Ooh, I cannot wait to see all those crazy creations people can come up with. And also the return of 6. I would like to see the return of 6. The 3D camera, oh hell no. And also like more character customization. That'll also be a good idea. Like maybe we could change Mono's paper bag into a McDonald's bag. Who knows? That'll also be a good idea. Anyways, that was like the first proof that we actually got of Little Nightmares. Like what do we want in the future of Little Nightmares games? Like they want to continue the series. Now let's move on to the second proof that actually just got released like 4 hours ago when I'm recording this, or 3 hours, or just how many hours if you're watching this. Like 2 days ago, it's going to be like 48 hours. Anyways, let's just move on to the second proof that we have. Okay, so yes, this is the original site for Bandai Namco's like downloadable content for the PSE, like the GNOME that you can download that here or buy it extra here, or the digital content bundle, you can also buy that here. But here's the interesting thing: if you look a little bit more to the right, yes, the right, not the left, the right. Yes, I'm a bit confused on right and left, but anyways, if you look to your right a little bit more, you'll see this: get ready for more upcoming DLC. Yes. No, not actually more upcoming DLC, every upcoming DLC. That's what it actually says. And yes, this is just got released on It's Just George's video site. So yeah. Don't worry, I'll leave a link down below to his channel. At least if I can remember it, or else you can easily find him on his theories. And yes, every DLC. Now, just so you know, all these DLCs might not just be like new level DLC. There could be like DLCs like the Gnome's Attic, where you just get a new hat, or maybe like Return of Leeches, like you can go down to the sewers again. Like maybe if you're in the Pale City, you can go down to the sewers and then grab another hat, but the leeches are in the way. That could be a cool idea. Anyways, that's it for basically DLC. Let's move on to what the actual story of the DLC could be. Now, the first thing that you want when a DLC comes is new characters and new environments. But mostly it's going to be new characters. Well, anyways, let's start with the kids first, because those are the most important characters because you play as them. Now, the first comic kid, well, anyways, let me just explain something first. The kids that we're probably going to be playing as, which is probably the best theory that everyone is going for, is probably the comic kids that we're going to be playing as. It's the first comic kid that we actually see, and it's the Little Nightmares 2 comics, not the first ones. Little Nightmares 2's comics. And the first comic kid we see is the boy, is the baby. Yes, that is what I call this boy, because he wears a diaper. Or at least I think he wears a diaper. That's at least what I saw in his concept art. And he also looks like a baby, that's why I call him that. Anyways, his comic is about that. He goes into the forest, he crawls into a cave, he falls asleep, has a nightmare about being grabbed by all the roots and trees. Then he wakes up, goes out of that little cave, then ends up at a TV. He then gets taken by Thin Man, which is a bit odd. I actually thought the Hunter was going to be in the comic, but nope, it was Thin Man. Surprise, surprise. The next comic kid is the Spoon Girl, or Bloody Nose Girl, as some people also call her, but I'm gonna call her Spoon Girl. Her comic is about her trapped in a room, but she gets thrown spoon through a door by a random person, and then by the help of the spoon, she digs a hole through the what is called, what is the called? Oh yeah, the floor, and then up through the other way. But then she finds out that she's just trapped herself in another room. But that's until the door actually opens for her, and then she actually wanders out before she gets attacked by the doctor. And there will be more about the doctor soon and every monster they're probably going to face. Anyways, let's move on to the next comic kid. Now the next comic kid is actually the Lollipop Kid, who is where his comics takes place in the school, and where he defeats the bullies with his lollipop, but soon he gets chased by the teacher, and then he gets found by the teacher to get a spanking by her. Yes, that's what they did in old days. They actually spanked people on the butt with their woolly if they misbehave. That's probably what happened to him. Okay. Well, anyways, let's move on to the next comic kid. Now, the next comic is a bit weird for me because I cannot fully remember it, but I think it's about, or I know it's about the Ghost Kid, as you can see here. But the story about his comic is that we see from his eyes that he's trying to get some food from some old dishes before he spots a rat that's deeply wounded, and then he wants to help it getting out of here. But while he tries to get out of here, he gets caught by the viewers. And if you don't know what the viewers is, go play the game literally. You must know what the viewers is, because those are the guys who look at the TV all the time. There you go, now you know. Anyways, that's basically what happens in his comic. He gets caught, I think. Well, it just fades to black before he gets caught, so he might actually have escaped, who knows. Anyways, let's move on to the actual monsters and which kid is probably going to face off each monster. So the first monster that everybody just thinks is actually gonna be an actual DLC monster is the Barber, because it was actually a bit sad because people actually wanted him in the game as soon as they learned he was actually a coded character. Well, as you can see here, the reason why he must actually been cut out of the actual game is because his death animation was maybe too brutal. That might actually be why, because he carries a big scissors. He can cut the head of people, cut arms off, and everything. I'm gonna get to the arm later, actually. And as you can see, that might actually be the reason why he was cut from the original game. Or it was due to time constraints, who knows. But anyways, another thing that I actually want to complain about is that if they actually remove the scissor mechanic from him, I'm going to get very angry. Just saying, because the scissors is probably what that makes the Barber like very iconic. So if you just take the scissors away because it's too brutal, then why the hell is he in the game? Well, anyways, let's move on to the actual kid that's going to face him off and why I think that it's going to be the actual kid. So, the kid that I think is actually going to face the Barber is the Ghost Kid. And why? If you haven't actually noticed by his model and everything and his character design, he's actually missing an arm. And as I said before, the Barber might actually have cut off his arm because he's possibly the only character that can cut off limbs and everything, because he has big scissors to cut off stuff. So it might actually be very interesting to know how the kid actually lost his arm. That's by showing a DLC about the Barber cutting off the kid's arm. Well, not just only cutting off his arm, not to get psychopathy, but still, just learn the story of it. Now, let's move on to the next monster. The next character is the Lunch Lady. She was in the original game, but as a dead body in a freezer. Or in a containment freezer, not an actual freezer. Well, anyways, she has just a fat design overall. She's just like the chef. And the kid that I think is going to face up against her is the Lollipop Kid. We find the body at the school, so of course, if it's actually going to be a character, and we're going to learn about her death, then I think it's going to be caused by the Lollipop Kid when he's trying to defend himself. another monster that I want to talk about, which is not gonna get a DLC, but is might actually still, who knows, is the Baker. Yes, I know he is a bit weird, but he is a concept art, and I just think his character design is a bit too weird for Little Nightmares, to be honest. But we do have a teacher who extends her neck, so who knows? This character might also get in, but I don't know which kid is going to face him, to be honest. But anyways, let's move on to the next monster. Well, now there is actually not any monsters, cutted monster, at least for my no on. Well, there is still monsters from the original game. One of them is the doctor that I think the Spoon Girl is gonna. Of course, it's going to be the doctor. What I'm talking about, we literally see him in the comic of the Spoon Girl, so of course it's going to be him. Maybe the patients. The patient would have been a better thing to say. Like, maybe the patients are going to help the doctor catch her. Who knows? Maybe the flashlight that we find in the hospital is actually left by her when she's trying to defend herself by the patients. That might be a cool idea. Anyways, let's move on to the next kid. Now to the last kid, the baby boy. Yes, his name is Baby Boy, as I already have said. We need to stick from monsters from the original character as from the Spoon Girl, but this guy has two monsters he might go up against, or just one of them. One of them is the hunter because it takes place in the wilderness. We know that from the comic, and the hunter lives in the wilderness, so might him. And he also needs more screen time, so that's the thing. Sorry, I have a bit of a cough because I'm talking too much. Next character is the Thin Man. Why? That's because that is actually the monster that appears in the baby's comic. But to be honest, I think it's going to be the hunter. He needs more screen time and everything. And to be honest, he just needs more screen time. That's the only thing that's wrong with him. Let's just say that, because I was really excited to see what the hunter would be like, but I was a bit disappointed because we didn't really see that much of him like we did with the teacher and the other characters. I just think he needed more screen time, to be honest, or he deserved more. Anyways, let's move on to actually some character models that I found of the kids, and some other stuff actually that might be interesting. Now, here's the character model of the kids. Here's the Spoon Girl, and as you can see, they are unfinished. And this is the Ghost Kid. And also I actually found these models on the YouTube videos which says these models are actually in the game. Here is the Lollipop Kid. But lastly, there's this mysterious kid that nobody knows where he's from, but I do. He's a background character from Comic 6, Mono's comic, as you can see. The kid's that's running around from the fire as Mono approaches the hole he woke up in. But the only problem is there is actually no character models for the baby. So I think we might actually get another DLC with Mono about how he actually ended up from where we started in the original game, where we might actually team up with this kid here, or he might just be a background character, who knows. But we're also gonna face up against this monster, which is not Thin Man, and I know that because he doesn't have a hat on in his shadow, so I'm just gonna call him Shadow Man from now on, and that's pretty interesting. Like a new monster that we never had seen before, and Mono's backstory. That's also a cool idea, or not full in his backstory, but just how he got into the wilderness in the first place. That's a cool idea. Now, let's move on to some of the more interesting stuff that I found online. I still have a cough. Sorry. Yes, you might be just as surprised as I am when I saw this first. This is a character model for the Barber, but it was only actually made by a fan, okay? I'm only showing this because this could probably just give you an idea of how he might look in the original game. And the same goes for the Lunch Lady. The same character made actually a character model for the Lunch Lady. And I do not have corona, I just have a bad cough now because I'm talking too much. Anyways, it was actually made by this guy, Sentiri Kuryojai. I cannot spell his name out, sorry. Anyways, I found it on ArtStation. I'll probably also leave a link to that down below so you can see the models yourself. But don't worry, sadly they're not from the original game. They are just fan-made. I still have that cough for some reason. Anyways, that's basically it for this video. I know it's a bit longer than my usual videos, which is like 5 minutes long theories video, but nope, this is probably a half hour long. Anyways, really hope you enjoyed and you sit through the whole video, and I'm gonna get some water because my throat is thirsty. Anyways, I'll see you soon. Goodbye for now.